prayers.
Who in infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and just government of humanity, beseech you to look upon abundant favor these your servants who have been pleased called the performance of such important tasks in your land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to your church. Amen.
Item 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I wish to welcome you to this special sitting, which is specifically convened to pay tribute to the late Honorable Cyrus Amodoi Imalingat, the Member of Parliament for Toroma County, Katakwi District. Honorable members, I wish to thank you for sparing your time, especially on a Friday, and after a recess, as just been announced, to attend this special occasion when we see of our dear colleague. Thank you for your messages of condolences, sympathies, understanding, and cooperation. I pray that we should always support each other like this, whether in good or bad times. That spirit of solidarity is vital for all of us. I want to further thank all the honorable members who have gone in large numbers to keep vigil in the late home in Chanja and for attending the Requiem Mass this morning at Christ the King Church. I'm informed that yesterday night, the Right Honorable Prime Minister was as the deceased resident also to be part of the vigil. Thank you, Right Honorable. My appreciation is also extended to all the honorable members and especially the TESO parliamentary group who have actively participated in making all the burial arrangements. I wish to recognize Mrs. Amodoi and the family who are seated right behind me at the technical bench. We'll continue to pray for the family, and may journey mercies accompany them and all the mourners as they travel to Katakwi. Fare thee well, Honorable Amodoi, and may your soul rest in eternal peace. Honorable members, on a rather sad note too, this morning we received news when we were in church of the death of the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Andrew Felix Kawesi, the death of his bodyguard and that of his driver. This was caused by unknown assailants this morning at about 9. On behalf of Parliament and on my own behalf, I wish to extend our heartfelt condolences to their families, to the Inspector General of Police, the entire police force, and the whole nation upon the loss of these 3 police officers who are on duty serving the nation. Let us stand and observe a moment of silence. Before we do that, after that, let's stand and observe a moment of silence.
May their souls rest in eternal peace.
Just as part of my communication, before I close, I would like the Right Honorable Prime Minister to take 2 minutes to inform the House, and I see the Minister here, but the Right Honorable Prime Minister, you could inform the House about the situation briefly.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to formally inform this August House that, as you have rightly said, Right Honourable Speaker, this morning our brother, Andrew Felix Kawesi, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, was brutally murdered in Kurambiro, just near his home, by assailants, and he died on the spot. The police and other security agencies are actively following the matter and investigating. And let me use this opportunity to appeal to members of the public that anyone with information that would help the police to reach its logical conclusion of nailing the assailants, they are encouraged to pass on this information to the police. Right Honourable Speaker, in spite of this tragic and brutal loss of our brother, the country is secure and the security forces are on heightened vigilance to ensure that both the people and the property of Ugandans is secured. Let me also take this opportunity, Right Honourable Speaker, to convey to the family of our late brother Kawesi our deep and sincere condolences on this very, very tragic loss of this very able and dedicated servant of the police force and of the people of Uganda. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Right Honourable. Honourable members, yesterday, please, it's Andrew Kawesi, his bodyguard, and a driver. Those are the three people who died. Honourable members, yesterday I communicated that this House would be sitting in this special sitting until 4 o'clock. That was the request from the family, so that they are able to travel to Katakwi this afternoon. So the target of 4 o'clock is going to impress on us a time constraint, and I'm going to ask the movers and seconders of this motion to really keep it brief so that the members can give their tribute to the Honourable Amodoi. Thank you. Next item.
The casket is transferred from the central lobby to the chamber. Honourable members, please stand up. The Uganda National Anthem, followed by the East African Community Anthem. Honorable members, please resume your seats. The fourth item 4 on the order paper, laying of the wreath on the casket by dignitaries in the following order. The Right Honourable Speaker. The Right Honourable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business. The Leader of the Opposition in Parliament. The Government Chief Whip. The Chief Opposition Whip. The Independent Whip. The Parliamentary Commission. Democratic Party Whip. The Democratic Party Whip. Uganda People's Congress Whip. Committee on Human Rights. Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs. UPDF representatives. Workers' representatives. Representative of the Parliamentary Catholic Chaplains. The Parliamentary Circle. A representative of the Parliamentary Pension Scheme. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Pension Scheme or a representative. Acholi Parliamentary Group. Buganda Parliamentary Caucus. Bunyoro Parliamentary Group. Greater North Parliamentary Group. Karamoja Parliamentary Group. Karamoja. Lango Parliamentary Group. Rwenzori Parliamentary Caucus. Teso Parliamentary Group. Teso Parliamentary Group. West Nile Parliamentary Group, Parliamentary Caucus. West Nile. Ankole Parliamentary Group. Bugisu Parliamentary Group. Bukedi Parliamentary Group. Uganda Women Parliamentary Association, WOPA. A representative of the East African Legislative Assembly MPs elect. Elect MPs. Chigezi Parliamentary Forum. A representative for Honorable retired Lieutenant Patrick Kasumba. Hey. Honorable Simon Lokodo. Honorable General Katumba Wamala. Honorable Sempala Emmanuel Chigozi. Honorable Agnes Egunyu. And last but not least, His Excellency the Vice President. Item 5. Item 5, motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Honorable Amodoi Cyrus, MP Toloma County, Katakwi District.
Thank you. Before the Right Honorable Prime Minister moves that motion, let me make some recognition of members in the Distinguished Strangers Gallery. I have Honorable Major Jessica Lupo, former MP, former Minister, Honorable Muiru Paul, Honorable Akelo Rose Lily, Honorable Molengani Bernard, Honorable Miriam Nalubega, Honorable Charles Oleng Ojok, Honorable Asumanti Inji, Honorable Alice Alaso, Honorable Akol Ross, Paul Musamali, MP-elect Iala, Honorable Muuma Milton, Honorable Isabri Idi, Honorable Butele Anthony, Honorable Wangolo Jacob, Honorable Tengo Rebecca, Honorable Christine Achayo Chinyai. Those are the ones that I have for the moment. If I notice others, I'll recognize. And also let me go some of the condolence messages that have come in. I have one from the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Rebecca A. Kadaga, Speaker of Parliament of Uganda. It's addressed to the Deputy Speaker. Condolences upon the tragic and untimely death of Honorable Cyrus Amodoi Imalingat of Toroma constituency. It is with great shock that I learned this morning of the tragic death of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus in a motor accident. It is extremely sad that death has not given him the opportunity to effectively represent the people of Toroma. I do recall that in the 9th Parliament, the Honorable Member of Parliament was involved in an accident that incapacitated him for several months. I was so looking forward to seeing him take up his responsibility in the 10th Parliament. This is another blow to the parliamentary family, less than a month after the death of Honorable Ogiel. I express my very sincere condolences to his family, the citizens of Toroma, colleagues in the House, and all those who knew him. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Rebecca A. Kadaga, MP, Speaker, Parliament of Uganda. We have a condolence message from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Mutambi. Condolence message. We have from Operation Wealth Creation, signed by Honorable Lieutenant General Charles Sangina. They have enclosed 500,000 shillings. We have from the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, signed the Honorable Justine Kasule Lumumba, Secretary General. They are enclosing 5 million shillings. She's enclosing 5 million shillings. I have a message from the National Resistance Movement Office of the Vice Chair, Eastern, signed Flight Captain George Mukula, PhD, National Vice Chairman, Eastern Region. I have a condolence message from all the members of IALA elect, Paul Musamali, Rosa Cole, Dennis Namara, Matthias Kasamba, George Odon, and Mary Mujenyi. They have signed a condolence message to the family. I have a message from Chairperson Bunyoro Parliamentary Caucus. They have enclosed 500,000 shillings. I have a message from the Honorable Felix Okoto Gong, Chair Lang Parliamentary Group. They have enclosed 1 million shillings. A message from the Parliamentary Pension Scheme, signed by Dr. Francis Epetite, Chairman of the Board. A message from the Buganda Parliamentary Caucus. They have enclosed 500,000 shillings, signed Johnson Muyanja, MP, Sentebe, Buganda Parliamentary Caucus. Those are the messages we have received, and we'll be passing this to the family. Right Honorable.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Honorable Lieutenant Retired Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat, Member of Parliament for Toroma County, for his diligent service to the people and Republic of Uganda, and I move the motion under Rule 47 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas Parliament of Uganda received with deep sorrow the sad news of the untimely death of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat, Member of Parliament for Toroma County, which occurred on Tuesday, 14th March 2017 in a motor accident at Kitigoma, Njeru, Kampala, Jinja Road, aware that Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat has been the Member of Parliament representing the people of Toroma County in Katakwi District in this Parliament, a constituency he also represented in the 9th Parliament. Recognizing that Honorable Amodoi served this country in various capacities, including as a teacher, army officer, and Member of Parliament, appreciating that Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat has been a diligent legislator who has served Uganda with dedication and patriotism. Now, therefore, this Parliament resolves as follows. 1, that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, the people of Toroma County in Katakwi District, and the entire country upon the death of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat. that it takes cognizance of the distinguished service rendered and the contribution made by Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat to Uganda, that this Parliament collectively praise the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend, Honorable Cyrus Amodoi, eternal peace. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Kelak North, by Rukunjiri Municipality, by Kinkizi East, by Mitoma. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Right Honorable Speaker, as a justification to the motion, the death of Honorable Cyrus Amodoi Imalingat is in the gruesome accident at Kitigoma along Kampala-Jinja Highway on Tuesday, 14th March, was deeply saddening. We have lost a gallant son who diligently served this country as an educationist and military professional. His aspiration was to see a harmonious, peaceful, and better society that is empowered in all spheres of life. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Honorable Amodoi was a man of simplicity, of humility, and generosity, and a down-to-earth leader. He encouraged and implored the community on how to improve their household incomes through venturing in various economic activities. He walked the talk. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, Honorable Amodoi was born on 1st June 1979 to Imalingat, Alfred, and Isinge Imalingat in Kanapa Village, Magoro Sub-County, Toroma County, Katakwi District. He attended Magoro Primary School, Gaddafi Primary School, and Nakalama Primary School, from where he joined the Kings of Kings Secondary School in Iganga for his O-level, and later to Iganga Progressive Academy for his advanced level. He later on joined Makerere University, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in education. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Amodoi first served as a teacher and later joined the Uganda People's Defense Forces in 2005. Because of his dedicated and outstanding performance in service, he was commissioned as Second Lieutenant in September 2006 and promoted the rank of Full Lieutenant in October 2008. After attending several professional courses in the military, he was assigned the role of platoon commander and later as the political commissar of the Presidential Guard Brigade. Honorable Amodoi retired from the Army in August 2010 to join politics. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in 2011, Honorable Amodoi contested for and won the election to represent the people of Toroma County in Parliament, a mandate they renewed in his favor in 2016. During his tenure in Parliament, Honorable Amodoi served on various committees of this House, including Defense and Internal Affairs, Human Rights, Government Assurance, Tourism, Trade and Industry. His contribution on these committees was impressive. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we are all walking today with a deep sense of loss and disbelief. It is difficult to believe that Cyrus' sincerity, simplicity, and humility, his calmness and dignity will no longer enrich the national debates. We grieve with the family, the people of Teso sub-region, and the country at large. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Motion secondment. Let me recognize the Honorable Malinga Johnson, Honorable Otekat John Amy, Honorable Euku John. They are here to form part of this. Second of the motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Motion for a resolution of Parliament pay tribute to the late Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat, MP Toroma County. Right Honorable Speaker, it was extremely shocking and unbelievable to hear of the untimely death of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus just a month after the death of Honorable Longil Ann. Heartfelt condolences go to the family of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus and the people of Toroma County. As a country, we have lost a patriotic, a down-to-earth, but a courageous and a faithful servant. As we all aware, Honorable Amodoi died on Tuesday, 14th March 2017, when the taxi was traveling in got involved in a fatal motor accident. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the issue of the designs of highway roads in Uganda has been raised repeatedly on this floor. It is very sad to note that the member lying before us was greatly concerned about the bad state of roads, and in one of his deliberations this August House, he responded on the State of National address by the head of state, where the president stated that the road coverage in the country was at 70%. However, Honorable Amodoi wondered, and he gave an example of Mbale Soroti Road, where one is forced to drive on the wrong side of the road due to its poor state, and in most cases accidents could occur, and it has cost us many lives. It is very unfortunate that the exact problem he complained of about has cost his life. Honorable members, have lighted how the narrowness of the highway roads coupled with inadequate signage have led to increased occurrence of accidents in Uganda. Unfortunately, the NRM government continues to construct narrow highway roads and later return to Parliament to request for additional funds to work on these roads. It is upon such justifications that the corruption has become rampant in UNRA. So one wonders why from the onset the government cannot construct wider roads. It is reported that he had given his official car to women leaders of Katakwi district who were to use it during the preparations of International Women's Day celebrations. He instead used a taxi as an alternative means of transport. This highlights the spirit of servanthood and the profound support to women empowerment that he stood for. His generosity also highlights the continued mobility needs for women in this country. Most pregnant women, especially in rural areas, are not able to access reliable and affordable transport to distant health facilities for antenatal care and delivery, hence increased incidence of maternal mortality. Right Honorable Speaker and members, mobility constraints in health sector, particularly inadequate number of ambulances of health facilities, continues to contribute to deaths of accident victims due to delayed response. It is common seen in this NRM regime to see accident victims packed under seats of police patrol as if they are commodities. As we consider the budget for financial year 2017-2018, honorable members, may we prioritize our provision of more ambulances to health facilities along highways so as to improve response time along our accident-prone highways. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Amodoi loved peace and he always worked towards achieving it. As a soldier, he participated in the fight for peace in the northern Uganda. He also served his people diligently as a member of parliament, always concerned about the insecurity and poverty in the area. Commenting on the State of the National Address 2016, he remarked, "In this country, it is in the Katakwi district where we still have camps. It is in the Katakwi where people cannot afford the basics of life. The people of Katakwi have lost an advocate of development." Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Amodoi wondered why agriculture was not the most prioritized sector in Uganda, yet it is the highest source of livelihood for Ugandans. It is funded a mere 3% of the budget, yet it supports and employs over 80% of the population. On 23rd August 2016, he informed this House that it is disheartening that the Ministry of Agriculture couldn't hastily handle cassava viruses in Katakwi, yet it is a staple food in the area. It is our plea to the government to increase the budget for the sector of agriculture so as to revamp and boost food production so as to adequately handle the prevailing food shortages in the country. He was a human rights defender too. He strongly condemned the act of exporting young girls and boys abroad, who ended up being mistreated and the girls being exposed to prostitution. He urged the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to undertake stringent supervision of companies exporting labor. To date, the challenge still exists. This is a reminder to the ministry to take the recommendation of the late seriously so as prosperity dreams of Ugandans who seek employment abroad. Honorable Amodoi, your commitment to serve this country shall be missed. You always struggled to achieve opportunities that enabled you to serve for a better Uganda and humanity. May your soul rest in eternal peace. I beg to move.
Thank you. Second of the motion. Member for Kabale Municipality.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand to second the motion on paying tribute to the late Honorable Amodoi Cyrus, MP Toroma County. Mrs. Amodoi, the children, and other family members, colleagues here in Parliament, and his colleagues outside Parliament, I want to express my most profound, sincere sympathies to all of you who knew Honorable Amodoi Cyrus as a great friend. Please take comfort in knowing that the Lord who gives is the Lord who takes at any time he deems fit. As deep and personal sorrow fills our hearts this sad moment, I can't help but remember that we've just bid farewell to another honorable member of this house just last month. Honorable Amodoi, with no doubt, made many contributions on the floor of the house, contributions that contributed to the bringing of change in our nation and bringing it on its path. Just as the leader of opposition has said, Honorable Amodoi Cyrus was the very man on this August House who talked about how roads are in a poor state. And it's still the same roads that have taken him. Today, we say farewell to a man with many talents and abilities, a soldier who turned into a politician, who served in the army, in the Allied Special Forces, and then in the Presidential Guard Brigade, and later on turned into a politician. He has diligently legislated in the Parliament for the people of Toroma, and indeed the country at large. I believe this is no mean achievement. I have had the pleasure to sit with Honorable Amodoi in both the 9th and 10th Parliament until his untimely demise. I can attest to his dedicated calling as a member of Parliament, as I'm sure so the people of Toroma County, who indeed re-elected him back, can also attest to the same. If there have been few good men in politics, I can attest that Amodoi was one of them. All the people who knew him will miss his highly intelligent individual and his rare friendliness, quiet sense of humor and charm of a personality who you would meet and there is no way you would move without accepting that he's indeed a very great man and he's indeed a very friendly man. More often than not, whenever we would meet, like sometimes in the canteen, he would tell you on how you need to work for your constituency. He would give you the things he is planning to do in his constituency, and would also copy a leaf and say, oh, maybe if I could do this also, my people in my constituency will like me the way they like Amodoi. He was an independent-minded fellow who reasoned issues devoid of unnecessary bias. He was a great, respectful legislator who dedicated to serve his country and dedicated his life to the people of his constituency. No wonder he died as he was going to his constituency again. On another really very sad note, we have lost yet another gallant son of Uganda, the IGP Felix Kawesi, who was brutally gunned down today. We really demand of government to guide us, to show us the world citizens, to see how our security can be more uplifted, more improved, to see our security not only through these terrorists who are killing us, but also our security on the roads. The roadworthiness of the cars that are moving on the streets in Uganda is appalling. They are not roadworthy, they are DMCs. And these are the same vehicles that are carrying very many passengers, buses and taxis. You would call upon government to put its foot down and make sure that these cars that are on the roads are indeed roadworthy. If we had that, we would maybe achieve something better. More often than not, we've seen trucks in the night moving with no lights at all behind. No brake lights. It's all very dark. Even maybe if at all the painting would reflect, there's no paint on the car, so it will not even reflect in any way. Not even reflectors for these big trucks. So we call upon government. Let it not be the talk of parliament alone here, but let it be a practical talk to this government to make sure that the citizens are well protected, be it on the road and also in their homes. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Amodoi Cyrus was indeed a very good man. My friend, we have truly gone too soon. We will meet someday. Rest in peace.
Thank you, honorable members. I've received a message from the parliamentary group enclosing shillings 1 million. I have also received a message from the independent members of parliament as a group. They are giving 1.5 million shillings. The UPDF have sent a message and they have enclosed shillings 1 million. Honorable members, the motion that I now propose for your debate is for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Honorable Lieutenant Retired Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat, Member of Parliament for Toroma County, for his diligent service to Uganda. And specifically, that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, the people of Toroma County in Katakwi District, and the entire country upon the death of the Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat. That it takes cognizance of the distinguished service rendered and the contribution made by Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat to Uganda. That this Parliament collectively prays to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend, Honorable Cyrus Amodoi, eternal peace. That is the motion I propose for your debate, and debate starts now. And we need to agree on how much time we will take on each contributor. Can we do 3 minutes each member? And we'll extend the time to 5 o'clock. So we'll do 2 minutes? 3? Okay, let's do 3 minutes. And I'll start by the member from Budaka District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Budaka District.
Again?
Proceed, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Kamgo Pamela Nasio, the woman member of Parliament for Budaka District. Right Honorable Speaker, my thoughts are with the family of the late Cyrus Amodoi. Similar sentiments go to those families that lost their dear ones in the same accident. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Cyrus Amodoi has been a very humble legislator. Right Honorable Speaker, I lack words to talk about him. In a committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, to which he has been a member, he has exhibited qualities of distinguished integrity. His dedication and selflessness will be greatly missed. Right Honorable Speaker, the same accident claimed my daughter-in-law. She was buried yesterday. She was wife to the personnel of Dhaka District, the late Azida. She has been a woman of character. She has been full of potential. If a reverse were possible, I would ask God to recover the lives of the deceased. But since God's plan is above human appeal, I pray that their souls rest in eternal peace. Cyrus, you've been a friend, you've been a brother to me. May your soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Butambala County.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I raise to pay tribute to a colleague I served with on the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, both in the 9th Parliament and the 10th Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Honorable Amodoi Cyrus was a humble servant of this Parliament. All you can recall, he had deep knowledge in the field of defense, having served in the Presidential Protection Brigade or unit at whatever level. Honorable Cyrus used to sound very modest in our meeting, but he was a useful member because all the time he will give us the insight and the thinking of the military, which some of us lacked. And I remember as we used to travel with him across the country and outside the country, we used to call him our intelligence officer. He will tell us through airports how to go around it, and he will tell us all the nitty-gritties that we may have missed as ordinary members. But Honorable Cyrus, I must add, was also an adventurous person. I can lightly recall we were in Zambia. A menu was brought to us, and there was the usual menu. There was something called carpenter. All of us didn't know what carpenter is. But the soldier in Cyrus says, for me, I'm going to try carpenter. He didn't know carpenter was a meal of these small mukene fish, how we call them. So they brought him a plateful of those small fish. And from then, in our committee, we've been calling him a carpenter, wherever, and it takes it so lightly. But Honorable Cyrus also grappled with the current demands of a member of parliament. How to square out to be an MP and to be a people's representative. And he died in that cause. Today, the role of a member of parliament has drastically changed. It has, from what there is on our book and statute, to what the people expect. Honorable Cyrus has been doing service delivery in his constituency to the extent of giving out his personal car to meet a constituency obligation. It was saddening by members of the media, and especially on the social media, to go out of his way to curse a dead man because he died in a taxi. What is wrong with a member of parliament boarding a taxi? What's wrong with a member of parliament boarding a bus? The former president of America, the outgoing president of America, the outgoing president of America, the vice president of Obama, Joe Biden, on every single day, traveled to Washington by a train to go and work. Wasn't he a president of America? David Cameron travels by a train. It is so. What is wrong with honorable members of parliament traveling in a minibus, and why should it be a big concern? Second, I want us to be firm as members of parliament in our roles. Right, Prime Minister, where government has failed in service delivery, the responsibility squarely lies on members of parliament as the first call. If government does not continue to deliver, members of parliament are sacrificing so much, including now their lives, and he has died in that kind of endeavor. It is a call to government. It's a call to government to ensure you do all you can that service delivery in this country is efficient. Right Honorable Speaker, let me make a humble call also about Cyrus. He reminded me that he was a former UID member in his days of Makerere, who went later on to join UPDF and serve in the National Army. And I think that was a good precedent, that a former member of the Democratic Party who was a UID went on to guide the president of this country. And I think that is also very meaningful and a milestone in our country. I salute him and wish him a happy and to rest in eternal peace. I beg to move.
PWD Eastern.
Okay, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to stand to support the motion to pay tribute to the late Amodoi, who is a brother and has been somebody we have been too close. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable the late Amodoi was a man who did not want cliques. He was very sober in his decisions. I remember when I came to Parliament, asked me, how do you manage your security? I asked him, which type of security are you talking about? I didn't know that he was an army man. Then he said, you know, my sister, the way you manage yourself, not everybody around you will want to love what you are going to do. So he started giving me some tips of how to manage my own security. And then one time I asked him, how do you get all this knowledge? And he told me he was a retired lieutenant from the army and was a PGB. Then one time he asked me, he was also somebody who could advise you on issues of improving your capital. Honorable Amodoi loved things like livestock. One time we were around Chakwansi. I think that time he also moved to Chakwansi, and he said, you know this place here? We're in my car. I asked him which place. He said, I know all the villages here because I come to buy cows here. Why don't you start a farm and I'll get you connections to buy a farm? This man here has been simple, but is a man who has been very developmental. And he will guide you, he will tell you issues about how to develop, and say, you are not going to be a permanent member of parliament. You need to plan ahead of you. And I found that interesting because there are very few people who guide you in that manner of direction. But this man, the son of Teso lying down, would do that. Amodoi liked his tribe. He wanted Iteso to be united. Whenever we could have problems as Teso parliamentary group, say, but what is the problem? Why are we fighting? Each of us has come here in a different constituency. If we are fighting to be ministers, then that's a different story. We came here as members of parliament, and that was always its talk. Right Honorable Speaker, it was a surprise to hear about the death of Cyrus. Of course, at first people thought it was Silas. Some people called us, but said it was Cyrus Amodoi. They thought it was Aogo. But Right Honorable Speaker, I want to call upon the family that Amodoi has been looking over a big group of people. Remain united.
Kinkisi East.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. On behalf of the people of Chinchiz East in Kanungu, I want to convey condolences to the family, to Parliament, and the people of Toroma. Right Honorable Speaker, today is the 17th of March 2017, and in Kanungu, it's a day of death, because today we are marking 17 days, 17 years since Kibwetere killed the people in my constituency, but the people were from all over the country. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the most difficult times I have been in making a decision was when I was in the Parliamentary Commission, where you also sat, and we were making a budget for Parliament, and we had to decide on how many members of Parliament we should budget for in terms of their funeral expenses. And we had to take a decision, and I recall that time we put 5 members. But I was scared because I could be a victim of that decision when we were making that budget. And shortly after, the first member of Parliament who died in the last Parliament was from Usuku County, which is Katakwi district. And today, we are also paying tribute to our colleague, the second member of Parliament to die, again from Katakwi district. So it's very unfortunate that we have lost a colleague whom I agree with the description that has been given to him, very humble, down to earth member of Parliament, a member of Parliament who cared for his people. It's very unfortunate that he has died at an early age. In Chigez, we had bad experiences after independence, to the extent that we grew up fearing the army, and would never get near to the army because the army was seen as a very bad institution. I want to thank the UPDF for turning Ugandans into very good army officers. You could hardly believe that Honorable Cyrus actually was an army officer because of the past experiences where the army officers were seen as hostile, aggressive, not approachable. His character was of a humble, down-to-earth, approachable, and I really want to thank the people of Toroma who had voted him to be their member of Parliament. Last night when we were at the vigil, we were told of his good works. One of the points that was raised was, for instance, like many members of Parliament do, he was looking after over 25 children in terms of paying for their fees. And I want to thank Honorable Sevagara, who offered to continue the education of one of the children who is in his school. We got the testimony from the LC1 chairperson in Chanja, how the Honorable Member of Parliament was helping him on how to improve farming, especially growing of mangoes. How many of us are able to guide the communities where we live here in Kampala, other than our constituencies? So we really want to thank him and applaud him for having been a very progressive member of Parliament. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, there is nothing wrong with a member of Parliament traveling by public means. I must confess, I am one of those who have traveled by public means to Kanungu. Sometimes I drive my vehicle, park it in Rukunjiri, board a bus, come to Kampala. So the members of public who vulgarize this, that a member of Parliament died in a taxi, I think are wrong. We come from the public, and there is nothing wrong with traveling in public. And also, Right Honorable Speaker, this shows you the pride of the members of Parliament. Members of Parliament travel at night, do all sorts of things to nurse the constituencies. And I want to appeal to the public to know that members of Parliament do a lot, go an extra mile to serve the people that they represent. And we want to thank him. He died on duty. Like we heard, he left his vehicle in the constituency to help with the mobilization, because yesterday, Katakwi district was supposed to mark Women's Day, and that's why he left his vehicle, and he was out traveling to go and join his constituents to celebrate Women's Day. It's unfortunate that he died, but we continue to pray for the family, and we pray that God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Aru?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I think I'm one of the closest people to the late Honorable Amodoi Cyrus. He confided in me. I was his lawyer at the trying moment where he was arrested in my constituency in Pade, where he was being conned, and he was conned and specified sums of money in Awere sub-county in Pade district on allegations, and he was subsequently arrested, taken to Kenene prison in Pade, and I was the lawyer for bail application. But Mr. Speaker, allow me to say this. When Honorable Amodoi Cyrus was in prison, he refused to eat any liquid food. Even when I instructed my family members to cook and take food to prison. So when my people called me that he was not taking food, I drove there and to prison and asked to meet him and asked why. And he told me that he doesn't feel safe. He's more comfortable with dry rations like biscuits. The first bail application failed. We traveled back to Kampala, mobilized more members of parliament, and in the second application, he got the bail after he had stayed in Pade prisons for 8 days. And we really want to thank the office of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker for making that bail application possible. It was a very complex matter that almost cost me an election, because they were saying, how can an MP represent someone who had come to allegedly vandalize bridges in his constituency? We are paying tribute to him. He was a nice man. Mr. Speaker, I wish God would ask me who to kill. And I don't know why good people die early. I don't know why, because there are very many people who are not so good and they are large there. I just don't know. Mr. Speaker, the late Honorable Amodoi Cyrus told me that when he wanted to leave the army to join politics, it was not easy, they refused. So what he did, he waited when all the junior officers were called to have a dialogue with the president in Entebbe. When the president addressed them and the president was about to leave, he raised his hands. And all his seniors were surprised what a mere lieutenant would do without briefing the seniors that he had questions. So he asked the president some questions which were political in nature. The president responded and shook his hands, and it immediately caused his senior officers to be investigated as to why a junior officer could question the president without going through the channels, as if intelligence had failed. But he told me that he did that deliberately because he knew he was going to be
One minute, okay.
He told me it would be easier to leave the army in that way, other than following the normal procedures, because there is no way they could retire you at the level of a lieutenant. When we last met at the burial of the father of Honorable Anita, he had promised to give me a cow after I succeeded in the case of Pade. The case was dismissed, it was baseless. And unfortunately, he's died. Mr. Speaker, we will be there with Honorable Amodoi. We love him. He was young. I'm 2 years older than him. We miss him. I think this is getting too much for Teso. May your soul rest in eternal peace, Lieutenant Amodoi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Buikwe South.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like, first of all, to extend my condolences to the family of the late Cyrus and the honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, today we are here to mourn our brother who has lived a very short life, but very purposefully. Honorable Cyrus died in Huyupe district on the road that has claimed very, very many rights. As we mourn his life, I would like government and this House to examine the causes of these accidents that are so rampant in that stretch of the highway. And I would also like to ask government to be a little more serious, because this is not the first time Parliament is gathered here to talk about the carnage of accidents along that road. And it was against that background that alternatives were provided to improve the state of the road and provide alternative routes to Kampala and out of Kampala. And one of these routes is the Jinja Express Highway and the infamous Katos Road. But in spite of all the assurances that has been given to us that there is money to deal with these roads, to improve the state of the roads, little has been done. Today, as I speak, the work that has been going on Katos Road has come to stand still on account of lack of money to pay the contractors. Right Honorable Speaker, the Jinja Kampala Express Highway, which is another alternative, has also been talked about. The survey was carried out about 3 years ago, but up to today, nothing is going on. Right Honorable Speaker, we have talked about Kawalo Hospital, which would be the rescue point for most of the accident victims. But as we talk right now, this hospital does not have even a life support machine. The ambulance that is available is limping. It was acquired in 2007. During the Chogam period.
Chigulu South. Where's member for Chigulu South?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Members of Parliament. I'm Andrew Kiza Kaluya, Member of Parliament, Chigulu South. I'm also the Chairman PTA, Nakama Primary School, where the late colleague went to school up to P7. It is only befitting that I extend my voice to the many voices that we've heard in this house today as we pay tribute to our colleague. He is a very, very wonderful character that we have lost today. And right now, when we stand here, we only pray to the Almighty God that probably He gives us a proper replacement. As a new Member of Parliament, I've only known Honorable Amodoi for only not more than probably 8 months. But he's one person that I met when we were in Chankwanzi, and probably it was chemistry because of his character that we made very good friends. Honorable Amodoi is a person that you would want to make friends with because of his character. Right Honorable Speaker, my first experience here in Parliament has shown that it is not very easy to have so many friends in Parliament. When we come here, we see a lot of people from very different backgrounds. So we as new members of Parliament, and particularly myself, I took time to study, and I still take time to study, all of us. But as we look at the people that we are engaging with, as we look at the colleagues that we are doing work with, you find that there are those people that you can confide in. Whenever I had a problem here, whenever I wanted to share something with anyone here, he was one of those few that I always confided in. Looking back at his life, he is one person who has always tried to be very down to earth and very sincere. I remember one time I was traveling to my constituency in Iganga. Then as I was reaching Jinja, I saw an ambulance. And when I got closer to it, it was for the Honorable Amodoi Cyrus, who is laying right there. I immediately called him and told him, congratulations for buying an ambulance.
Kalaki County.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for granting me this opportunity to pay tribute to my fallen brother, and on behalf of the people of Kalaki, whom I represent in this August House, to convey my condolences to the family of the late Cyrus Amodoi. I last met Cyrus Amodoi last week as we were checking our pigeonholes. He invited me for his belated Women's Day celebrations, which should have taken place yesterday. I told him I wouldn't be able to make it, but if he could postpone it and push it to Friday, which is today, I would be able to go. Little did I know then the prophetic nature of our conversation, that indeed we would not be together on Thursday, but we would meet on Friday, as we had agreed. It is very unfortunate, and more so, that the significance of the death of the Honorable Cyrus, once again, has been missed by our friends from the Fourth Estate. The death of Honorable Cyrus, just as Jesus Christ died between criminals to save our sins, the death of Cyrus in a public service transport vehicle should bring to this country very vividly the plight to which thousands, hundreds of thousands of our citizens are subjected every day when they use commuter taxis. It does not matter how wide our roads will be, how straight they will be, until we streamline the operation of taxis, who drives them, where they can stop, which direction they go to. We will continue losing people on our roads. I have used taxis. Right from the moment you step into a taxi, Right Honorable Speaker, until you get out, that will be the closest you will ever be to purgatory. You will be driven at breakneck speed. The taxi will stop right in the middle of the road, in front of an oncoming trailer. They will reverse in the middle of the road. You will confess all your sins before you reach your destination. We need to streamline the operation of our taxis, who drives them, and in which destinations, to which destinations. We need to work on the manner in which our roads are used by heavy trucks at night. These trucks park by the roadside, making the narrow roadsides even much narrower and causing more accidents. I want to appeal to the government once more. We've said this here, and I say it again. Kindly regulate
Tororo District.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, on behalf of myself and the people of Tororo, allow me to convey condolences to the young family of the late Cyrus. Right Honorable Speaker, Cyrus's firstborn son, who is seated right there, is born with a mother from Tororo, who happens also to be my relative. And therefore, on behalf of the people from Kamuli Parish in Tororo, Mukuju Sub-County, allow me to also convey my condolences to the people, or their condolences to the people of Katakwi. Right Honorable Speaker, Amodoi Cyrus was a very humble, simple legislator. But in his humbleness, he was a very effective mobilizer. I recall in the last parliament, as many of the independent members of parliament were trying to cross over to other political parties, for him he said, I will be elected by the people as Cyrus. And therefore, I'm not going to move to any political party. And little wonder that he won overwhelmingly in the last elections. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to mention one thing. We have talked about road accidents, and it's very unfortunate that the late talked about the road accidents and the state of roads, and it's the road accident that claimed his life. In the last parliament, we lost a member of parliament, the late Honorable Namaganda, as a result of road accidents. In the 8th parliament, the late Barikowa died along that same stretch between Jinja and Kampala out of a road accident. And now in this parliament, we have lost Cyrus. Right Honorable Speaker, majority of the road accidents in this country are as a result of majorly human error. And most of these road accidents, Right Honorable Speaker, occur during the night. I want to appeal to colleagues. Your life should be guarded. Let us, as much as possible, avoid traveling at night. The majority of road accidents, and I want to repeat, Right Honorable Speaker, happen in the night. So that is one thing. Yes, the constituents are demanding, but please, you can leave very early in the morning and still reach. And Right Honorable Speaker, this is what members of parliament often do, but it's a caution that we need to take seriously. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to state that the late Cyrus was a very generous man, although he has left two biological children, but the late actually cared for a number of orphans, and the ones that I was told were about 25. So all these were his children, Right Honorable Speaker. The children of his late siblings, but also children, orphaned children within his constituency. It's very unfortunate that he has died at a very young age, just 40 years, and it's a pity that these children, most of them are still young and still in school. I really hope that we, as members of parliament, will stand in to try and see how to support these children, because they are still young and they really need to complete their education. Cyrus was their father. Cyrus was like a parent to them. So with those few remarks, Right Honorable Speaker, my condolences once again to the family and to the people of Katakwi. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Shema District.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also stand here to convey my deepest sympathies and condolences to the family of late Cyrus. We were serving together on the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, and indeed, like most of the honorables were speaking about him, he was a humble person, but very resourceful on our committee. And as a person, he would advise you all the time. I took some months off to go for maternity leave, But Cyrus was one person who would make sure that I'm not missing anything of the committee. He would send me every evening what they had said in the committee. He was a friend, and we will really miss you, Cyrus. I take this opportunity to call upon the traffic and other police bodies. This program that was on Masaka Road called Fika Sarama, it really helped us a lot because accidents were very rampant on that Masaka Road. If that same program could extend to the Ginger Stretch, at least so that they can also curb down those accidents. Most of these drivers of the trailers, they are very tired, they are always sleepy. And this, one time I traveled with a taxi to Mbare. It is so unfortunate that the driver who took us from the park got off from near Buyukwe, and that the conductor took over. Actually, by the time we reached, we were all quarreling in the taxi, but there is nothing we could do. So all these things, they need to be taken care of. We are very, very saddened to the widow. We just pray that God gives you strength to raise this very young family, and God gives you more grace to carry through this very difficult time. May the soul of our foreign comrade and honorable member rest in eternal peace. My condolences on behalf of people of Shema and the entire family.
Honorable members, let me just go through my list so that we don't. Soroti Municipality, Honorable Kefa, Padiere, Bugabula, Agule, Kawempe, Bulamoji, Ajuri, Budadiri West, Mbale Municipality, Ruhinda County, Samia Bugwe North, Kapelebyong. That's where I have stopped so far. So let's finish with this, then you can start writing. Soroti Municipality.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to join my colleagues in paying tribute, in supporting the motion to pay tribute to my fallen brother, the late Honorable Cyrus Amodoi Imalingat of Toroma County. Mr. Speaker, it has already been mentioned on the floor of Parliament that the late Amodoi was a man of humility and simplicity. Indeed, I stand to give testimony that Honorable Amodoi was a man whom everybody would get along with. Mr. Speaker, in July 2011, when Honorable Amodoi came to South Sudan as part of the delegation of Parliament of Uganda to the independence of South Sudan, Mr. Honorable Amodoi did not pull the normal airs that delegations do. Because South Sudan at that particular moment, Juba had several visitors. There was literally no space in hotels. When I asked Honorable Amodoi in our language, Onach, can't we stay in my apartment? Can't we go to my apartment? My brother, can't we stay in my apartment? And he said, you are me and I'm you. What is the difficulty in that? Why should we run around looking for a place where we can stay? And throughout that evening, before and during the date of the independence of South Sudan, it was as though you were associating with somebody who is not an MP. I wasn't an MP by then. I was running around doing the things that we used to do there. But we went to the places, and Honorable Amodoi would associate with everyone on a basis of a down-to-earth person. Honorable Amodoi was a unifying factor. He took no prisoners of anybody. We know that most of the time, and we all come from different caucuses from where we come from. And sometimes you find within the same caucus there are MPs who do not talk to each other. With Honorable Amodoi, every one of us in TESO parliamentary group would not raise a reservation about him. Because to him, everyone was my brother, my sister. We can talk about this. And you didn't need an appointment. You just got him at the lobby, you got him in the canteen, you got him in the corridor, and then you started to speak about what is going on. Needless to say that I have seen this week one of the unique elements of somebody bringing people together, because TESO Parliamentary Group has not stopped having everyone on board from the time we lost him. And that demonstrates how much of a unifying factor the Honorable Amodoi was. He always kept telling us, Lobuka, that one of my home, that one with whom I come from. And that is the first word he would tell you when he met you. Regardless of whether he viewed you as a new colleague or that one that had been with him for a longer time. He was always jolly and happy, at peace with himself and at peace with everyone. Right Honorable Speaker, today in church, you mentioned something that I thought is worth repeating here. That sometimes you can read the signs of times. You can be able to tell, and you don't have to be a prophet. When I came back to Parliament and joined you in receiving the body of the late Honorable Amodoi, when we were signing up out there on the condolence book, our screens played out the submission of Honorable Amodoi regarding the nature of our roads, the nature of the risky driving our people always have, the nature in which Uganda has lost several people on the roads. And this was at the State of Nation address. Indeed, what you told us is true, that you can read the times and you can tell what is likely to happen. No wonder his spirit had feared what happens in our roads. Right Honorable Speaker, as Ugandans, we are probably one of the unique countries where the road signs cannot be trusted. It is only in Uganda.
Honorable Kefa.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the people of Chiroga, I'd like to pay my condolences to the family, relatives and friends, the people of Katakwi, and the people of the Teso region for a dear one that has been claimed by accident. It's very sad indeed. I worked with him in this parliament for a short period of time, about 6 months or so. But I always remember him first as an easy person to talk to, somebody who is always patient, listening, and somebody very enterprising, always with solutions to whatever issue you present to him, as one of my elder having served in the earlier parliament. Now, one key thing actually which I have found disturbing is that question that why should an MP take a taxi? And I think on this one, I'd like to thank Honorable Amodoi, because somehow he has died as a matter. He has brought it out that even us as MPs, we use this public transport. That we use the borders, we use the buses, we use the commuter taxis. And actually he was using them, but very much aware of the risk that it poses, because he had clearly talked about them here in the Parliament. The other very interesting thing also is that we have always been attacked as members of Parliament who are greedy, who don't care about the public. But here is a good example of one of us taking a taxi. The only thing actually we should be asking ourselves, we as MPs, should we consider these taxis as transport of the poor? Definitely not, because if they are there and they are the public transport that we can all use, we should trust it and work to improve on them. So I think the key question here is, how is government going to react to the death that we are having perpetually on our roads? And one example that I like to bring out, which is actually a demonstration of negligence, is the Hoima Road. The Hoima Road was under construction, and when COSASE started investigating who had the contract, the Chinese ran away. They just ran. They didn't care about tidying up. So there are no, where they are working, there are no signs, there are humps there, you don't know that it's a hump, and you hit it and the vehicle swings. It's prone to a lot of accidents at the moment. So can government make that commitment that at least we're going to work on improving the road safety?
Padiere.
Right Honorable Speaker, the name Cyrus, as reflected upon in Isaiah 44:28, tells us how God commanded and says, look, this is my shepherd, he's going to accomplish my work. The funny thing is that Cyrus in the Bible is mentioned over 30 times, but he was not any closer to God. He was actually a pagan who came to help the Jews in three things. One, he was a king of Persia, to take the Jews back, to allow the Jews go back after 70 years of captivity to Israel. They had to go back. Two, to build Jerusalem. Three, to actually furnish it with God's furnishers. Right Honorable Speaker, this exactly fits into the man we are talking of today. The Cyrus in the Bible was talked of as the Cyrus II. Cyrus II. And indeed this man was doing his second term. He was also called Cyrus the Elder. Indeed the man we are today eulogizing is an elder not only in terms of political work, but in terms of understanding the dynamics of this country. I got closer to him when I was making fun of him in 2011. I looked at the woman MP of Katakwi at that time, was a military officer. And then the one of Osuk was a police officer. Then I told him, you man, you are in a jungle of military men, and for you, you're a civilian. I mean military people. He told me, you're joking. Actually, I'm far much better than them. This one was a police officer. This other one, you mentioned the woman MP, I think was a major or something. But he made mention that if actually there was transparency in promotion in the army, he would be now almost in the junior and senior rank. He would be in the senior rank. And he said, because of the injustices that you will see glaringly clear, he was much more brilliant than most of the army men. He decided to quit. And his mission was to fight for two things. One, for the rights of the army men in good pay, especially when they are deployed in both internal and foreign aggression front lines. Right Honorable Speaker, I think you opportunity to come. Right Honorable Speaker, I told him then, why did you stand as a army representative? He said he wouldn't have the chance. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, we need such people who come out of the army and become civilian and come to this house so that they can speak the truth other than the men in uniform who are here and also MPs. They can't speak the truth because they're honestly deployed here.
Bugabula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, you might have realized from his profile that he spent most of his pre-university education in Busoga. Mr. Speaker, during the late 80s and the early 90s, many people were displaced by the insurgency which was in Iteso, and they settled in Busoga. This brought us good teachers, like the latest brother, but also brought young children who had education in Busoga. So on the behalf of the many friends the late created in Busoga while studying at Gaddafi Nakalama, King of Kings Iganga, and Iganga Progressive Academy. We wish to pass our condolences to the people of Katakwi and the people of Teso in general. I had the opportunity to work with him closely. In 2007, during the preparations of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGAM, and the conferences that followed. This included the Afro-Arab Youth Conference, the Smart Partnership International Dialogue, and the 21st Ordinary Summit of the African Union. Worked closely with many officers in the Presidential Guard Brigade. These are officers whose sacrifices are not seen when we are preparing such conferences. We shall miss him as a dedicated officer. That didn't stop him to come and participate in national politics. Somebody has observed that he had to use tricks to get himself out of the army. But even when you join the army, you know that you must serve there diligently, and you only exit through certain procedures. We thank God for the work he did for this country, and we thank him for the service he has given this country. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Agule County.
Right Honorable Speaker, for record purposes, Francis Mukula, Agule County, Palsa. It is too sad. The rate at which we are dying today as members of parliament is like 200 kilometers per hour. It is too sad. The late, very brilliant, reserved, down to earth person, and very intelligent. Personally, I've been benefiting from him. He has very great political ideas. One time he found me in the canteen crying. He asked me why shedding tears. Because there was a notorious young man disturbing me in the village. After campaigns, the notorious young man continued decampaigning me as if elections are next week. So he consoled me. He told me, Mukula, what is your plan? I told Cyrus, I'm planning to go there and just physically fight with the young man. He told me, no. Let me give you an idea. What you do, does he have a mom? I said, yes. What you do, make the mom your best friend. What you do when you're in the constituency, buy sugar, buy meat, go and visit the mom. In such a manner, the guy will come back at night, the mom will serve him the meat that you have bought. In the morning, the mom will serve him the bread. And the mom will keep saying, there is a second son of mine called Mukula. And that is what I did. I never saw again the notorious man campaigning me. And I knew that by 2021, I will be unopposed, you know, but he has gone too soon. My humble appeal to members, lest when we lose fallen ones, I think my appeal is maybe yearly as parliament, we keep a record of people, of our colleagues who have died, then we maybe yearly we rise up in silence, and also there is a 10 days after burial, that is the end. I think my appeal is as parliament and as colleagues, we keep in touch with families of our fallen colleagues. Even if you just made a phone call, or even sent airtime, or even contributing 5,000, keeping the candle burning. Otherwise, it is really sad. To the family, keep strong and keep praying. My brother, may your soul rest in eternal peace.
Kawempe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. My condolences to the bereaved family, and also condolences from the people of Kawempe North Constituency, and also condolences from Muslim Parliamentary Caucus. Mr. Speaker, sir, the late Cyrus has been a colleague and a friend. We met in the 9th Parliament. I was also sitting on this side. He was also an independent on this side. Ever since then, we have been very friends with Cyrus and the entire family. In the 9th Parliament, as he was looking for where to rent, it so happened that he came to Kisasi. And Kisasi is my ancestral area. Few meters away is my school, Kisasi College School. So since then, Cyrus has been a real brother. I told him in the 9th Parliament, Cyrus, why are you independent? Why don't you join Democratic Party? He said, no, I want to be an independent. Little did I know that in the 10th Parliament, I also be independent as Cyrus. Mr. Speaker, sir, Cyrus has been a young man of big heart. He has been telling me how he's looking after orphans and children of his late relatives. At my school, he brought 2 children, one in O level and A level. So 3 weeks ago, he brought them back for the term. I told Cyrus, why have you brought them a little bit late? He said, I had many challenges and I'm looking after many. He came past 9, I was there. We sat for almost an hour with Cyrus. He used to move with his stick. He has been a very good disciplinarian in as far as our cultural customs are concerned. He moved out with his stick. Now telling me, why didn't Dorothy perform well? Why? I want to cane her right now in your presence. I said, no, we can use other methods. And we discussed, and he didn't cane Dorothy. So he has been very, 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 very critical in as far as upbringing is concerned. Mr. Speaker, sir, last week, as I was with many colleagues trying to put up parliamentary forum on Islamic banking and finance, Cyrus was number 8. He said, please, we need to get a lot of knowledge in as far as Islamic banking and finance is concerned.
Bulomoji.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. To the people of Toroma County, and particularly the family of the late Amodoi, to the Teso community, and indeed the whole nation, deep condolences. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Right Honourable Speaker, in the last Parliament, I and Amodoi, Honourable, the late, we were both independents. And we were sitting right here, just on this row. At that time, Katakwi had 2, and indeed it has 2 counties, Toroma and Usku. And both MPs from Toroma and Usku were independent. Unfortunately, in the beginning of the 9th Parliament, the Member of Parliament of Usuku, the late Oromite, passed on. And we had a by-election because of the death of the late Oromite. It is indeed saddening that in the beginning of the 10th Parliament, The Member of Parliament of Toroma has passed on, leading us to another by-election because of death of a colleague. It is a very sad moment. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm glad that the Prime Minister is here, but I have noted that our roads, many of our roads, are not properly marked. And in situations where you find a road has 3 lanes, where you have especially climbing lane, there are 2 lanes, most of the drivers don't know who is to use the middle lane. In fact, many times you'll find a vehicle coming down the hill and another one coming up, just in that struggling for that lane. I think it is very important to sensitize the people on how those roads are supposed to be used. Who has the right of way on the climbing lane? It should have been, or could have contributed to this death that we are witnessing today. The late Amodoi, being independent member of parliament, I must emphasize that he was indeed independent. He spoke his mind without bias, without fear. He spoke what he felt was right. He could not be compromised on his idea. And I'm glad that he never crossed the part where he was being convinced to go, because he felt he needed to be in his own mind. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, death is a very painful thing to witness. But I want to speak to the members who are here that on the
Ajuri.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise with great humility to pay tribute to a colleague and a friend, a contemporary, and I know that, Mr. Speaker, in the African traditional society, when death strikes suddenly the way it did on our colleague, it is normally natural that an African would retreat. In that retreat, many theories would be developed. In that retreat, many things will be said. But I want to particularly pick on a cross-section of our fellow countrymen and women, citizens of Uganda, upon the demise of our colleague, who took on the social media, and for lack of better words, Mr. Speaker, you will permit me to describe them as uncultured, uncivilized, sadist, who took on the social media to ask questions that are not literally asked of a dead person in the African traditional society. Mr. Speaker, much as this country is still healing, but there seems to be a generation that are reaping from bad things. Why would you celebrate the death? Speaking as if once you are elected as a member of parliament, there is a certain way you are expected to pass on or to die. We are human. We are born of women just like them. We are part of the Ugandan society. If Ugandans are dying in our local hospitals, we also die. If they are dying on the roads, we also die. If they are dying in their private cars, we do die. If they are dying in public means, we do die. And I want to appeal to them, Mr. Speaker, through this tribute motion, that fellow countrymen, especially those who took on the social media, may the good Lord forgive you for all your tweets. May the good Lord pardon you because you do not know what you are doing. Nobody wants to die. In fact, if I'm to pose a question here, how many of us would want to go to heaven? All of us would say we would want to go to heaven. But when you pose the second question, who is ready to die now such that you go to heaven? Possibilities are clear that none of us again will rise up to say, I am ready to die. That is the dilemma of death. Now, why would you celebrate? Why would you talk us
Budadiri West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2011, I was the leader of the opposition, and I'm the one whom you requested to allow the independent to sit this side. It was a negotiation, but because of Amodoi, who I had seen, I quickly accepted. All of you are independent sitting here is because of Honorable Cyrus Amodoi. Cyrus Amodoi. Mr. Speaker, nobody knows when he's going to die. And I'm sorry that the woman MP of Tororo can advise us not to use public transport at night or during the day. And I'm sure there are people who die in the morning and those who die at night. Like Felix died during the day. Mr. Speaker, I married from Teso, and he has been calling me Amran, but for me he became a brother. You know, when you marry, you pay dowry. I paid cows, but he's the one who took me to Teso to farm. In 2015, he gave me 120 acres of land in Koliri. Tomorrow, if he was still alive, he was going to give me 2 cows. And the reason why he was going to give me 2 cows, he said, Amran, Muko, my brother, the easiest place to get money when you're broke is from cows. You may take long to sell land or take long to sell a house. So I was going to start farming tomorrow with cows. Unfortunately, he has died. Mr. Speaker, public transport is allowed. I know you, Mr. Speaker, you have a lead car, but whenever you travel from Entebbe to wherever you go, you travel in a plane. Is it yours? It is public transport. I think let us define public transport. It's transport you don't own. And I'm sure even the lead car you are using, you don't own it. It's a public car. So for those who say we should not travel public, I'm making a mistake. There is no businessman in Uganda whom I've seen going out of here with a private jet. They are always in public transport. The only difference that the other one is in the air, some of it is on the road. And if many of us use trains when we're out, despite the fact we may be MPs, we may be prime ministers, we may be speakers, but we are using trains and taxis and buses as public transport. So for those who are saying it was wrong for my brother to be in public transport, they are making a mistake. But what I know about him is the man who was down to earth. He has died all his money, every money he gets, he takes it to Toroma, Katakwe. You people of Toroma, you have lost a man who loved you with one heart. He even can go to the bank to borrow.
Mbali, John Ruhinda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take the floor to join all my colleagues who spoke before me to pay our sincere condolences on behalf of the people of Mbale to the wife of late Cyrus, the family, friends, relatives, and you, Mr. Speaker, and colleagues in Parliament. What a great death that has taken our colleague. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been spoken about Cyrus. But the people of Mbale are going to miss Cyrus because Mbale is a place where he used to stop and do businesses. Mr. Speaker, recently, the Ministry of Works commissioned SGS, a Swiss company, to inspect vehicles at a very high cost. But Mr. Speaker, one issue which we should look at, who are the people manning those vehicles? You look at the way people get driving licenses, there's a lot of demand. Mr. Speaker, if you went to Naguru, I'm glad the Prime Minister is here. If you went to Naguru and witnessed how these driving licenses are given out, it's terrible. I got a driving license, Mr. Speaker, from Sweden. And I did sit in a class for 3 months where I did the theory and the practicals. And Mr. Speaker, you answer 100 questions, and if you get 7 wrong, you don't get a driving license. It's so shocking in this country that you go and they give you 3 signs. What is this sign? What's this sign? Can you drive? Can you park? And you are given a driving license. Even turn boys who open doors in those taxis are driving. Yes, I heard from one of our colleagues here that a turn boy took over the vehicle. So, Mr. Prime Minister, my request is, can you recall all driving licenses from taxi drivers, from those who drive public vehicles, the trucks, section by section, and we take these people for lessons again. Mr. Speaker, the UN came here to test our policemen who are going for peacekeeping in Liberia and other countries. And many of the policemen failed. In Nambole, they could not even drive, they could not even pass the tests. So we are getting problems on the roads because of drivers. They don't know how to drive. And that's why they are causing all these accidents. They don't know whether this is an overtaking lane or not overtaking lane. This is a climbing lane or not a climbing lane. This is the corner where you're not allowed to overtake. They do overtake. And they are driving these vehicles without licenses. So, Mr. Prime Minister, can you bring in cabinet that you recall driving permits for drivers of taxis, public vehicles, from section to section? This time you're doing Kampala, you're doing Kabale, you're doing Gulu, you're doing Mbale.
Ruhinda County.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Lieutenant Cyrus Amodoi served with me when I was the administrator, chiefess of political commissariat, and where Lieutenant Cyrus Amodoi was the political commissar attached to Presidential Guard Brigade. The late Cyrus was not only the peace builder, but he was a peace lover. We always wanted peace to be transferred to our individual homes. He was fighting for the right of a woman. He was fighting for the right of a child. We have already lost a man who was a freedom fighter. Secondly, in 2009, rather 2010, we all applied to leave the army and to join parliament. And it so happened that some of us were blocked, including Cyrus. And then later on, he used a trick. He said, I will have to go. Then he used his trick. And he asked permission direct from the president when he was briefing them. And he was released. And he said, don't lose hope. I didn't lose hope. In 2010 and 11, I also contested to represent the UPDF after being blocked the other side. And my name was removed from the contestants. But he said, never lose hope. Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, I remember as a committee on defense and internal affairs when we traveled to the east and we reached Chirinya. When I was carried by the prisoners, he said, thank God you survived. Little did I know that the late Cyrus was actually once a prisoner until today, when Honorable Dongoto raised it here. When we reached Mbare, he was so concerned with the lives of female prisoners with their children. He was so passionate and he was so touched. We have lost a man. We have lost a great man. Right Honorable Speaker, for any member of the public to come out and say, how can a member of parliament die in a taxi? It's as if once elected as a member of parliament.
Samia Bugwe North.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me join the rest of my colleagues in paying tribute to our fallen friend, Honorable Amodoi Cyrus. The late happens to be an OB of Iganga Progressive, where I also went for my A-level. We extend our condolence as OBs and actually OGs of Iganga Progressive. We've lost our friend. Iganga Progressive was boasting of 4 members of parliament in this 10th parliament, but it is unfortunate today we are paying tribute to one of our own. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Amodoi has been an outstanding character in this House. He has been a mentor to most of us who have just joined this House for the first time. When we met as a group of independent members of parliament before swearing in, he's one of the people that stood firm to guide us, to show us the way forward. He emphasized so much on living a free life, a life free of debt, a life free of pressure. It is unfortunate that at a time like this, we are paying tribute to him. My condolence goes to the family, Mrs. Amodoi. We pray that the good Lord that gave you this nice fallen friend of ours will not leave you. Together with the children, truly God gives and He takes. There is a saying that is very common in our communities, that good people don't live long. But indeed, Honorable Amodoi has lived a very, very short life. But we thank God, like we have all echoed here, he has lived a profitable life, a beneficial life, and we shall live to remember him. I extend my condolence to this country for losing.
Kapelebio.
The Right Honorable Speaker, Julius Ochen is my name, a Member of Parliament representing the people of Kapelebion County. Honorable Speaker, I stand here on this floor of Parliament to pay tribute to my brother, the late Amodoi. Honorable Amodoi was an independent Member of Parliament like myself. Honorable Amodoi, when I came to this Parliament, was the first Member of Parliament from Teso to take me on the details required by Member of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, my late brother here is a man of rare characters. He has been a human rights advocate. Right in his constituency in Toroma County, Honorable Amodoi has been standing with his people who were deprived land in Angisa. In Angisa. Even when the Iwa demolished Angisa Primary School, he stood firm and said, I will rebuild it because I cannot abandon you. And as we speak now, Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Amodoi put a petition to this Parliament on the question of land that has been robbed from the people of Angisa by Iwa. And that petition is in your office, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this week, I did put to the Committee of Infrastructure that the Committee of Infrastructure should follow this matter. And it was agreed that this week that would happen. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Amodoi, due to inadequacies of service delivery in this country, in this health sector, did procure an ambulance to help the women in his constituency deliver and access the services. Honorable Speaker, my brother lying here, he has died because of exposing the truth and fighting against corruption in this country. When Honorable Amodoi was deployed in the Congo, Honorable Amodoi, that time when he was serving in the army, came back to this country, and a report was brought in the 9th Parliament to the Committee of Defense, alleging that mineral water and other materials were supplied. He stood firm at the Committee of Defense to say, I never saw mineral water in Congo, where I was serving as a UPDF soldier. After the meeting, some people never looked at him well. And my brother has never, I want to testify before this parliament, he has never carried a smartphone in fear of him being tracked. And part of the reason why my brother had to change cars from a taxi to the border was to fear that he's being tracked. I have to be very honest, my brother is lying. And there is nobody to speak about the demise of my brother. That is the reason why that death has caught my brother in the taxi. He has been talking about this, Honorable Speaker.
Mitiana.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak about the late Amodoi Cyrus. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me pass on my condolences to the bereaved family, to the Ugandans, and to the honorable colleagues. I worked with Honorable Cyrus. Briefly, it is less than a year. But what I can speak about Honorable Cyrus, he has been a quiet, determined, courageous man. During the committee meetings, Honorable Cyrus would come in and he would put up a spirited defense or argument, with whichever agents would be appearing before the committee. And I want to recall that during one of the sessions, we went to Kabamba. General Katumba took us to Kabamba, but Honorable Cyrus told us that, oh, I remember I went through this military training. And he wanted to talk to the junior officers who were undergoing through the training, asking them what challenges they are facing, and also giving them confidence that being part of the Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, he would be in position to push for their issues. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Cyrus, even when we went to visit the various prisons, Honorable Cyrus was a committed person. He was always there to ask what is transpiring in the prisons. We would proceed as a committee, but he would remain behind to get to the gist of the matter. He would make meaningful contributions, and indeed, the prisoners, during discussions with them, they would feel happy because he would tell them that I was also once in prison, and I know what you are going through, but this is not going to be permanent. The situation will change. We are going to make sure as a committee that we put your issues on the floor of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, the man lying before us today has died at such an early age. We are going to miss him as a committee, but to the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs, to us today is a double tragedy. We've lost Cyrus, but we've lost also one of the people who was appearing before the committee, that is AIGP, Andrew Kawes Solomon, Andrew Kawes Felix, May their souls rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, we have 20 minutes left, and I have more than 15 people on my list. Can we reduce the time to 2 minutes? Okay, if we don't reduce, we'll stop at 5. Whoever will speak by that time, it's okay with me. Because I wanted to accommodate as many, but if you want 3 minutes, fine with me. Usuk.
Mr. Speaker, sir, first of all, on my own behalf, on behalf of my family, I want to send my condolences to my brother, Honorable Cyrus Amodoi. On behalf of the district, I also would like to send our condolences to the family and the Parliament of Uganda. Mr. Speaker, sir, if I say much, I would like to request you to allow me some time. Why do I say this? I'm the chairperson of the organizing committee for the burial of our late brother. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are issues which I would like to point out. As the people of Katakwi, and as my colleague, which the late has been handling on behalf of the people of Toroma. To begin with, to government, for us to remember the late Amodoi, the people of Toroma will be very, very happy if the issue of Angisa land question is solved between Uganda Wildlife Authority and the community of Magoro sub-county. That is his own sub-county where he is born. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I'd like to ask you and to urge government, can you help us reclaim our land? It's our land. It's not land of Ua. As the people of Teso, we have never had a park called Upe Pian. It's not even in our culture. As the people of Katak, we have never had that village anywhere in our district of Katak. So I want to ask the government, I want to ask the people of government, please help us, help Cyrus. He has gone, but on his own behalf and his children, that land will help the people of Toroma to remember our brother. Question number 2. In 2010, the district council passed a resolution to make that same area, Angisa, become a sub-county of its own. So when Ua begins to think that that land belongs to a national park, when the district council of Katakwi passed a resolution to demarcate that as a sub-county, it bothers us as leaders of Katakwi. And I want to ask the government, for us to remember Honorable Cyrus Amodoi, there's again another resolution of 2016 passed by a district council of Katakwi, urging government to make Angisa a sub-county. I urge government, please help us in memory of our fallen brother, Cyrus Amodoi. Mr. Speaker, the personality of Amodoi, if I'm to speak, I can take a whole day. Me and Honorable Amodoi, while campaigning, we knew, by the way, we were 2 members of parliament who knew we were going to win elections. Why? The way we conduct ourselves while we are with our people. You will never get Peter Gwang. You will never get the late ever on a suit, ever on a tacting chart while in the constituency. Never. For those who know Amodoi, that is who he is. He died in that kind of dressing. Why? We know the history of our people. We know the suffering they have gone through. So you cannot take a suit like what I am now to Kusu or Toroma. You're lying. That's Amodoi. Honorable Cyrus moved door to door because of his professional training as a soldier. He looked for a vote, not on a car, not on a motorcycle. I want to remind those who are abusing him, please, save us. He looked for a vote using his foot, walking. And that's how he defeated my party candidate. It's because of his character. So when you talk about a taxi, By the way, the Women's Day was meant to be celebrated in my sub-county, in a parish within my sub-county. It's a pain. It's true, the late loved these people. You will come to his area, honorable members. Don't expect to see much, because he loved these people more than himself. He served these people more than his family. That's why when you come to his home, you don't expect to see a big family, a support of a member of parliament, but you will see a family of an ordinary person. That is the late. So, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, and the media, please, you will come to our district. You will come to his home. I know what he has done for his people. For women in Toroma County, it's true, he bought an ambulance. I'm also struggling to buy an ambulance because I urge government. We are in the coast with the Karamojongs. We come from very far sub-counties. They are hard to reach sub-counties. This is also another issue which I want to urge my government. For instance, that very Magor where it comes from is a hard to reach area. Is there an ambulance in such a sub-county? It's not there. Now, this is how the member of parliament could try to please his people. Buy an ambulance at the expense of himself. Mr. Speaker, for the colleagues, on behalf of the organizing committee, thank you. I want to thank Parliament and members of Parliament for the contributions you've given us to support the decent send-off our brother Cyrus Amodoi. Mr. Speaker, 1 minute. I conclude my submission. A minute.
Honorable, Cyrus is a member of parliament, and these are parliamentarians. If you take all the time, what will they do? Otuche.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Akelo Sylvia, woman member of Parliament, Otuke District. The Right Honorable Speaker, in Parliament and outside, people are known by their brands. Other members are known because of their voices. Even if you have not seen them, you just hear the voice and you say the other person is the one talking. Others are known by their dress codes. You just see and know, yes, if the dress code is not like that, there is something wrong. And others are known by their hairstyle. But Honorable Amodoi was known by his characters and the way he had been interacting with members. We've not taken long in Parliament, but very many people are talking good of what Honorable Amodoi had done and was doing for the people in Parliament and outside Parliament. The Right Honorable Speaker, I have learned very good thing about Honorable Amodoi. And when someone dies, we should not think a person is dead and we do not learn something out of such a person. I know there are very many good lessons that the Honorable Amodoi has left in this world. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, I want to put a word of condolence and counseling to the family of Honorable Amodoi that once your relative, your close friend is dead, with all these good words, it means that person is not dead. He's just resting, but the spirit and the action of that person will remain in the family members and his children. So this can make your heart be consoled, and you know there is life even after the death of Amodoi. The Right Honorable Speaker, much as we are talking of the accident which has killed our member, there are very many honorable members and others who had been undergoing accidents, although they are still alive. Last year, members of Parliament who were coming from State House had accident. We thank God they survived. I am one of the victims who had accident. Honorable Joy had accident. Recently, we had a member from Kitgum who had accident. And even the Minister of Health, State Minister, almost had accident, and she was admitted in Kiriandongo Hospital. What I'm saying is, The way our garages try to fix cars right is really calling for. Who are the kind of mechanics that we have that work on the vehicles? Thank you.
Katakwi District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Katakwi to thank your office for the support that you have given us during this trying moment. Allow me, on behalf of the people of Katakwi, thank all the MPs for the support that you've given us. It is true I've lost a brother. I last spoke with Honorable Cyrus Amodoi on Monday after the celebrations of the Women's Day in Katakwi were confirmed. I called him and told him about it. And he confirmed it to me and he told me, my sister, I shall be there. And for most of you, you read what our posted, inviting all of you to join us to commemorate the International Women's Day that we were supposed to have celebrated yesterday. It is quite sad that we've lost Cyrus. For the few months that I've worked with Cyrus, it is not even easy to say how much we've done together. Sometime last year, a hailstorm destroyed one of his parishes in his constituency. I was out of the country when I returned. He briefed me and told me, my sister, you were not around, but we had a disaster. He mobilized all of us, myself and Honorable Peter Ogwang, and we visited that community, we supported that community. Most of the churches were down, most of the houses were down, most of the crops were destroyed. But Honorable Cyrus mobilized all of us and we visited them as a team. And that was so unique of him. Even his people said, we've never seen this, that all our MPs come to visit us and sympathize with us. My brother, Honorable Peter Gwang, has talked about Angisa. Honorable Cyrus again mobilized us to go to Angisa with the minister, the state minister for wildlife and tourism. We visited that community. It was again during the time of floods, and he said we are going to have this meeting in Angisa. We had to swim the cars across. That is Amodoi. Again, as a team, he mobilized all of us regardless of which constituency you are coming from, and the district council. We had that meeting. I just want to make an appeal. Honorable Ogwang has already alluded to this, but it's an appeal to government. That issue of Angisa and the community, Wildlife Authority and the community of Angisa was not resolved. And yet it was Honorable Cyrus who was spearheading it even in the floor of parliament here. It is my appeal to government that for us to make our brother rest indeed in peace, kindly help us resolve that issue of Angisa and Wildlife Authority.
Thank you, honorable members. Let's recognize the Honorable Ekwa E.B. Florence, former member of parliament. She's up in the distinguished strangers gallery. Bugangaizi East. Bugangaizi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also stand in unison with colleagues to pay tribute to our friend comrade, Honorable Amodoi Cyrus. On behalf of the people of Bugangai's East constituency, we convey our deepest condolences to the family of the late Honorable Amodoi, the people of Toroma constituency and Katakwi in general. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Amodoi has been an independent member of parliament. And used to sit this side where I am, this corner here. And near me actually, used to sit near me here. Right Honorable Speaker, you know, for us who won this election as independents, it wasn't easy. It was like going through a ventilator. to reach here. We suffered so much, Right Honorable Speaker. To win as an independent member of parliament, it was not easy. We really suffered it twice. So, really, it is very saddening to see our comrade going out of this world. Very, very suddenly. Right Honorable Speaker, you know, Uganda is among the African countries with the highest rate of accidents with Nigeria and South Africa. And so the government of Uganda needs to do something to really, you know, to attend to this, because it is really becoming more and more. So we need to do something as the country. Why should we having all these accidents in Uganda? Why in Africa? Why really? We can do something as a country, really, you know, to solve this problem. Right Honorable Speaker, you know, the Bible says in 2 Timothy 4, chapter 4, verse 7, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I've kept the faith. And verse 8 says, now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Cyrus has fought a good fight. He has been in the military. He has served, you know, in the governance by being the MP for Toroma for all that time. He has fought a good fight.
Gulu Municipality.
Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of Gulu Municipality, we send our condolences, as well as on behalf of the Greater North Parliamentary Forum. It is so sad to speak, because when we were in West Nile with Honorable Cyrus, that is when you could see in him the level of leadership, especially on human rights defending, when we were at Ajumani prison farm. Honorable Cyrus said to bring these prisoners on board and to make sure that they go through counseling, let's go and share with them lunch in their kitchen. So we went with Honorable Abiriga for Arua Municipality in the kitchen, and he began serving the prisoners with portion. And we all went into it. At the end of the day, the prisoners said, no, these are not MPs. How could they come in the kitchen and begin sharing our portion here, just like that, without, you know. So by the time we left to meet them officially with the chair, we seated right there, you could see the change that came and the testimony that the prisoners were giving us. Little did I know that Cyrus was actually a lieutenant in the army. He told me that to be a military man, you must be a very serious coward. And that is the philosophy of America's defense. Permanently, you must be suspicious, and that is how you should always prepare for war all the time. That is when I learned that to be a good soldier, you must permanently be ready to fight. This is our colleague who cherishes education. And I really sincerely request the government of Uganda, if you go to his constituency, he has struggled and struggled on the issue of education. And for the legacy that he left, it should be thought seriously that at least a memorial in his name, especially for a school, be built in his constituency. He has done a great deal. And lastly, our roads in this country since independence, or even before, have remained narrow. But the vehicles are ever increasing in sizes. Is it possible? Because if you look at the narrowness, it is like you're going to heaven. Indeed, we are having these challenges. Can't we have a real review of our road, so that we go from 18 meters to 36 meters, so that you have 2 lanes the other side, 2 lanes the other side, and you minimize to some degree some of these accidents that are occurring because of head-on collision. I have nothing more to say.
Honorable members, it is 5 o'clock and we need to close. I'm going to enlarge the time just a little because that's a request from the family, and I have still a long list, but I'm not going to go into that now. I have Mitoma, Bukonjo West, Pade, Soroti District, Mubende District, Honorable Seko, Honorable Moding, Honorable Ongon of Ngora, but and also member for Casilo. So what I'm going to do, honorable members, please allow me to do this. I'm going to ask now the honorable member from Casilo, who is part of the team that is organizing this, to speak, and then we close. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the people of Casilo, I want to send our condolences to the family. Honorable colleagues, it was in the last parliament when I was serving in the Parliamentary Commission that I came to so close to our late brother here. Through the son you see there. That's how I got closer to the late, because of that son. I will not go into the details. Honorable Speaker, the other thing I found interesting and which was good for me, for my own survival, and it can also be good for you, was his level of being security conscious in whatever you do. One thing he taught me was, please, if you are to go anywhere, if you are in a restaurant, if you are to eat, please, if you are asking for a soda, never allowed to use a glass if you are not sure of the people. Use a straw. If you are asking for tea, never ask for black tea. Ask for milk tea. Because any foreign element in milk, the milk will go bad. That's how conscious he was. So colleagues, it can be something that you can use in your daily life for survival. Mr. Speaker, one thing that has not been said is about our colleague here handing his life to Jesus Christ as his Savior. As I drove from Ginger, because I was the second MP to get to Ginger when the body had been taken to the mortuary, I found Honorable Chemtai as she was heading to her constituency, had branched to the hospital. So I interacted with the widow Esther. So as we were driving, I drove her in my car up to Mulago and then to home. As we were getting along the way, she would break down. We would all break down and cry and said, I wish my husband had listened to me, because when he left home, he just told the daughter there, say, tell mommy that I've gone, I will see her. But in the night, that young girl told the mother, can we pray for daddy, for journey mercies? And just said, in Jesus' name, amen. The next was when they got a call that the father of that kid had gone. One other thing I picked from Esther, the wife, at one time she had become weaker spiritually. He asked her, please, can we pray? I need to pray for you. They knelt down and prayed for her to have strength such that she's able to get through the hard times. So Honorable Cyrus had changed to that life. He had converted and was a member of the PRM church, the PEM. So that was the other part of life. How a child at that age always thinking, can we pray for daddy because I left? How many of us have brought our children that way? Could be very few or none at all here. So that is the other aspect of our brother, which I found very encouraging that we needed to emulate. I want to clarify one other thing. We have talked about the roads, but the place where the accident took place was a very good road, very clear. But I think it's the indiscipline in the drivers that we have in this country. Because there were two taxis heading towards Mbale, Busia. He was in the car, it was the front car. The truck came and knocked the behind part of the first car. That was where he was seated. He was seated in the middle. The people who were on both sides survived. Honorable Cyrus could not survive. And then after knocking, it knocked now the second taxi, and he went on and rammed into a church and was brought down. The church was brought down. That's it. So it was either mechanical failure from that road, or the other driver of the truck was fatigued, or just indiscipline, like we see in most of cases. You flash, they don't flash. So that is how the accident happened. I want to thank the police, especially the DPC of Njeru, SSP Katumba, the son of our colleague here.
Please close.
I also want to thank the doctors, the people, and more so the neighbors and the leadership, the LC1 and another gentleman called Emmanuel from Chanja called Emmanuel. He's the one who the wife and the children was taken care of, contacted at night when it happened, and he drove at night with the two nephews and the wife to Jinja. As they were driving, they didn't know how to get to us. They called the Honorable Triakayo. That's the MP for that gentleman called Emmanuel. That please, can you inform Parliament that one of the MPs by these names has got involved in an accident. We don't know whether he's going to survive. I found him in Jinja. So that Honorable Triakayo now called the clerk. The Honorable clerk tried to get into Honorable Gwang. Honorable Gwang phone had got a problem. Then Madam Clerk called me at about 6:30 in the morning. That's how I picked my car. I drove. But by God's grace, we arrived safely. But it was too late to save the life he had already passed on. So, I want colleagues to thank you wholeheartedly. But also even Honorable Odongoto here, at a very difficult time, everyone was fearing when those allegations had been made against our colleague that was involved in this. But Honorable Odongoto stood firm and said, I will defend my colleague at the risk of losing his job. Members of Parliament, I think Honorable Osege and team, went to stand surety. During the campaign, I was sharing with him, because I had also served with him in the executive committee of the CPA. In fact, the CPA Africa region sent their condolences. Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Africa region sent their condolences. So I said, how are we going to handle? Because the opponents were using that. But I said, don't mind about that. I will handle it. How did he handle it? He just told his people, assume that was true, that I was involved in this thing of the machinery. If I had got that money, it would be yours. And that was the end of it. The rest was history. That's how I was able to deal with it, to deal with that situation. So sometimes when these blackmails are put on you, you must be smart enough to know how to wriggle around it and make it through. Yeah. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank government. I want to thank the Prime Minister who was with us yesterday. Last night. I want to thank your office, the Speaker. We want to thank the staff of Parliament through and the clerk. We want to thank you for all that you have put in, and we want to pray for the family. We want to pray to God that He gives strength to this family. You have heard here, he has 2 children. Esther there is pregnant. Needs your prayers. Needs your prayers. He has been having 6 dependents at home. 6 dependents of his late brothers and sisters who need support. Can we all join hands to handle that? There are some of the things, as a friend, there are some things that he confided in me. We shall be able to deal with those when we get back. Because even last week he had told me, I want to take you to show some things I have done, just in case. That's how he said it. Just in case. I told him we shall go this weekend. It has never come to pass. Even the travel by taxi, Honorable Komakech were with him when he was saying, I'm going to use a taxi, because he had invited us to go to Katakwi. He said, I'm going to use a taxi. We said, no, why don't you use it? Honorable Komakech said, why don't you use a bus? He said, no, let me use a taxi. It was his day. So those who are using whatever type of words in the social media, as Honorable Obua said, we can only say, may God forgive them. May the soul of our brother rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Cooper. Thank you, Honorable Members. I have a condolence message from the chairperson of the Parliamentarian Saving and Credit Cooperative Society Limited, signed Chairperson, Honorable Tony Ayo, shilling 1 million to the family. I have a message from the Chairperson, West Nile Parliamentary Group, Honorable Bernard Atiko. They are enclosing 1,950,000. I have a message from the Chairperson of the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs, Honorable Judith Nabakova. They have contributed 1,050,000. And my final message is from the Government Chief Whip, the Honorable Ruth Nankabira, Sentamu. They have also enclosed 1 million shillings. Honorable members, I'll now put the question to this motion, and we close. And I've seen this, I'm not able to open now. It's Honorable Oyet. I don't know what the content is, 200,000 shillings. Okay. And I'll pass this to the person coordinating this, the Honorable Wang. Please take charge of this. The program from tomorrow, can you quickly outline the program for tomorrow, Honorable?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From here, the body leaves and goes to the Federal Home, Uganda Federal Service Home. Then tomorrow morning, the body is going to be airlifted. I want to thank the government again for providing the means to fly the body to Toroma. From Toroma, it will be taken to the council. The council of Katak district will be meeting. Then from there, it will be heading home. The burial will be on Sunday, 19th. So once again, the Parliamentary Commission has provided transport that is going to leave Sunday very early in the morning. You could have received messages that it will be at about 5 a.m. So please, colleagues, try to keep time. You can go through Kumi or go through Soroti. If you go through Kumi, then you'll have to go through the ferry, where the Minister of Works, once thank again, the Minister of Works has already communicated to the ferry operators to be available, such that if you have to use that, because it's shorter, to use that route to get to Toroma. So that is how. But of course, some family members who are going to leave immediately now, such that they are able to, if not, leave very early in the morning. But tomorrow, the body will leave together with the immediate family members and the two members from Katakwi, Honorable Ogwang and Honorable Akurut, will join the family to be flown tomorrow morning from Kololo at 8 a.m. in the morning. So I want to ask those who are in charge of the transport to please keep time such that they are able to get in. We want again to thank the Parliamentary Commission because they have been able to provide us to have one of our medical staff, the nurse, to join in the team because of the state of Esther to be on the flight, because as you have been seeing, she has been fainting. It's been a very difficult time to join. The medical team is joining her on the flight to escort her to Toroma. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question to this motion. I put the question for a motion for resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Honorable Lieutenant Retired Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat, Member of Parliament for Toroma County, for his diligent service to Uganda. And specifically that Parliament collectively conveys its deep condolences to the bereaved family, the people of Toroma County in Katakwi District, and the entire country upon the death of Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat. that he take cognizance of the distinguished service rendered and the contribution made by the Honorable Amodoi Cyrus Imalingat to Uganda. That this Parliament collectively prays to the Almighty God to sustain the bereaved and grant our departed colleague and friend, Honorable Cyrus Amodoi, eternal peace. That is the question. That is the motion. I put the question. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. Aye. The ayes have it. Honorable members, thank you very much. Let's now go through other processes.
Item 6, the anthems in reverse order. Honorable members, please stand up. casket now leaves the parliamentary chambers. Honorable members remain standing. Honorable members, please resume your seats.
Honorable members, I want to thank you very much for coming and making contribution on this tribute motion to our colleague. And I want to thank you for the numbers. Today is Friday. The House went on recess yesterday, but you are able to come in these numbers to pay respect. I am truly grateful, and thank you very, very much. This should be, like I said at the beginning, the spirit of solidarity that we should express each time we are hit by this kind of tragedy. But I am truly, truly grateful. And I say this on behalf of the whole Parliament, on behalf of the Speaker, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, and also on my own behalf. I'm truly, truly grateful. Now the special sitting is now adjourned. Thank you.